The med bay lights flickered. A low hum filled the sterile air, broken only by the faint rhythm of machines breathing for the unconscious and dying. Captain Aric Voss sat on the metal table, his armored jacket half unzipped, a faint smear of blood on his neck. Not his blood, alien, green and sticky. His eyes were cold, sharp gray under a thin scar that cut across his right brow. He looked like a man who'd been through too many wars and lived to hate the quiet that followed. A young alien medic, trembling in pale blue under her translucent skin, held a scanner over his arm. The needle had already drawn the sample. 1 drop of human blood. Just 1. The machine beeped once. Then again. Then it screamed. On the hollow screen, alien symbols turned red. Words appeared in shaky translation. Toxicology incomplete. Sample reactive. Temperature rising. The medic froze. Captain Voss, your blood. It's... He looked up at her, calm but tired. It's what? She backed away, the scanner shaking in her hands. It's heating itself. The air grew warm. The vial on the counter began to glow faintly, like embers buried under glass. Voss sighed. Don't tell me it's doing that again. The chief physician, a tall, insectoid alien named Dr. Kellex, rushed into the room, multiple eyes wide. Contain that sample, he shouted. Seal the chamber. But it was too late. The vial burst. A flash of orange light filled the med bay, followed by smoke that smelled like burnt ozone and copper. Voss didn't move. He just watched the fire curl across the table, harmlessly licking at the metal. His arm, the one they'd taken blood from, was glowing faintly under the skin. Dr. Kellex turned to him, horrified. Captain Voss, were you? Voss tilted his head. Human, he said softly. You invited me here to prove it. The alarms wailed to the research station orbiting Carthos 9, a neutral planet where dozens of species met to study and trade. This was supposed to be a peaceful day, a public experiment meant to show that humans were safe for galactic biology exchange. Instead, half the med wing was now sealed under red quarantine light. Through the observation glass, alien scientists shouted in panic, some retreating, others taking frantic notes. Dr. Kellex pressed his claws against the reinforced glass. This isn't possible. His plasma reacts like a volatile compound. Even a spark could... Could what? Voss interrupted, standing. His voice was rough, almost amused. Explode? Burn the room down? You'd be surprised how often that happens around us. Kellex's mandibles clicked in distress. You were supposed to represent your kind. We were told you were stable. Voss cracked a faint grin. Stable's a relative term. The air shimmered. Heat rippled around him, faint and flickering, as if the oxygen itself bent away from his pulse. Dr. Kellex's second assistant, a thin avian species, whispered, The readings say his blood is alive. It reacts to adrenaline. Voss flexed his hand and watched faint sparks dance along his veins. Yeah, that tracks. 20 minutes later, the containment field hummed around him. They had locked him inside a glass cube at the center of the lab. Every alien eye in the facility watched him, some in awe, some in fear. A voice echoed through the speaker grid. Captain Voss, please explain your biological irregularities. He looked up. Irregularities? We call it adaptation. No life form should produce plasma like this, the voice replied. Your body is a weapon. Voss chuckled softly. You ever fought in a firestorm on Mars? Or tried breathing on Titan without a filter when the air itself tries to freeze your lungs? Our bodies learn to fight back. That's not a weapon. That's survival. Dr. Kellex stepped closer to the glass. Then how do you survive your own blood? For the first time, Voss's smile faded. His eyes hardened. Sometimes we don't. The silence that followed carried weight. Even the machine seemed to pause. Then, without warning, the lights dimmed. Power flickered. The alarm stopped. The observation deck went dark, save for the faint orange glow coming from inside the containment unit. From Voss himself. Outside the chamber, the technician scrambled. "He's overloading the containment field," Dr. Kellex shouted. "He's not doing anything. His biology is reacting to stress." Inside, Voss stood perfectly still. His breath was slow, deliberate. The glass around him began to haze with condensation, then crack in thin spiderweb lines. His voice carried to the comms, calm, distant, like he was remembering something. "You know, Doctor, the first time my blood caught fire was on a battlefield. I thought it was a hallucination, but the medic said my veins looked like molten iron under my skin. I never forgot that glow." The cracks deepened. The glass started to melt at the edges. Dr. Kellex pounded on the emergency console. "Deactivate the field before it ruptures." "No," shouted one of the techs. "He's drawing energy from it. It's feeding him." The med bay trembled. Light poured from the cracks, like sunrise through shattered ice. Then, as suddenly as it started, everything stopped. The lights flickered back on. The alarms went silent. Captain Aric Voss stood in the center of the room, unharmed, surrounded by vaporized glass. The containment unit was gone, reduced to glowing dust. He opened his eyes. They burned with a faint orange light, like coals buried deep in snow. Dr. Kellex stared in shock. "What did you do?" Voss turned to him, voice quiet but heavy. "You wanted to know what makes us different." He looked down at his hands, faint steam rising from his skin. "Now you know." Smoke drifted through the ruins of the med bay. The one sterile chamber now looked like the inside of a furnace. Walls warped from heat. Instruments melted into twisted shapes. The air shimmered with residual energy, faint, orange, alive. Captain Aric Voss stood in the center of it all, barehanded, breathing slow and heavy. Steam rolled off his shoulders where the armor had fused to his skin. His veins pulsed with a dull glow beneath the surface, each heartbeat sending a ripple of faint light through his body. He didn't look like a man anymore. He looked like a warning. Dr. Kellex's voice came trembling through the overhead speaker. "Containment breach confirmed. Subject. Still active." Voss tilted his head toward the sound. "Still human. Document don't write me off just yet." "Captain," Kellex stammered, "we can't risk another flare. The plasma in your blood is destabilizing the environment. You're irradiating the air." Voss chuckled, though it came out rough, almost painful. "Feels about right. I've been toxic my whole career." The med bay doors hissed open behind him. Armed alien soldiers filled the hallway. Tall insectoids in silver armor, weapons trained and humming. Voss raised one brow. "Really?" He muttered. "You're going to point energy rifles at the guy who just melted glass with his bloodstream?" No one moved. He sighed and held up his hands. "Fine. Let's talk this out before someone." A rookie alien guard flinched and fired. The plasma bolt hit Voss square in the chest. There was a flash, a shock wave, and then silence. When the smoke cleared, Voss was still standing. The bolt had burned through his shirt, but not his skin. Instead, faint trails of orange energy spiraled across the impact point, like veins of molten metal healing themselves. The guard dropped his weapon. That should have killed him. Voss looked down at the smoking mark, then back at the soldiers. "You're lucky," he said quietly, stepping forward, "because now I'm curious what else I can survive." The soldiers backed away as he approached, each step echoing in the silence. Heat radiated from him in waves, blurring the air. The floor panels hissed under his boots. Dr. Kellex's voice broke through the calm again. "Captain, stop. You don't understand what's happening to you. The energy you're releasing, it's not biological. It's nuclear." Voss stopped mid-step. Say that again? Your blood is producing bioplasmic fusion. It's generating power far beyond human metabolic limits. You're a living reactor. He frowned. You're telling me I'm radioactive? Worse, Kellic said softly. You're evolving. That word made him freeze. Evolving. It didn't sound like a miracle. It sounded like a curse. Voss clenched his fists, feeling the heat pulse stronger with his heartbeat. Then stop it. Tell me how. We can't, Kellic whispered. Every attempt to suppress the reaction accelerates it. Captain, if your core temperature keeps rising, you'll ignite the entire station. Voss turned toward the medbay window. Beyond it, the stars of Carthos, 9 burned faintly in the void, distant and indifferent. He remembered his last mission, a disaster on the moons of Rio where his squad had been abandoned. The brass said it was a tactical retreat. He called it cowardice. Now, the same galaxy that called humans reckless primitives was afraid of his heartbeat. Always the same story, he muttered. They call us dangerous when we survive too well. The intercom crackled again. Captain Voss, we are evacuating the facility. Remain where you are. He laughed under his breath. Yeah, sure. Just sit here and wait for my own blood to explode. He ripped the security lock off the door and stepped into the corridor. The station was chaos. Red emergency lights pulsed through the hallways. Aliens of every species ran past him. Engineers, researchers, soldiers, none daring to stop him. The temperature sensors along the walls flickered as he passed, detecting heat levels that no biological entity should emit. A young alien officer tried to intercept him. Captain, you can't go near the reactor. You'll destabilize the core. Voss brushed past him. Then it sounds like I should definitely go there. Why? He didn't look back. Because if I'm going to blow up, I'd rather take something useful with me. Down in the engineering bay, the massive heart of the station pulsed with artificial light, the fusion core that powered everything. But as Voss entered, the alarms changed tone. The reactor began to react to him. The energy signatures synchronized, like 2 hearts beating in rhythm. Dr. Kellic's voice came over the comms again, frantic. Voss, get away from the reactor. It's linking with your biofield. I think it already has, he said quietly. His body glowed brighter, his skin almost translucent with orange light, threading through his veins. Captain, listen to me, Kellic pleaded. If the resonance continues, it will trigger a chain reaction across the entire grid. Then you better hope I can control it. He placed a hand on the reactor surface. It vibrated under his palm like a living thing. For a second, everything went still, the hum, the alarms, the fear. Then the light answered him. The entire station shuddered. Every monitor burst with static. Power surged through the structure like lightning through veins. Voss's voice, calm and low, echoed through the comms. You wanted to study what makes humans burn so bright. He looked up, eyes blazing with plasma fire. Now you'll see what happens when we don't burn alone. The reactor erupted into light. Silence. For a long moment after the explosion, there was nothing. No alarms. No voices. No motion. Only light. Brilliant, endless light swallowing the station. Then came the heartbeat. A deep, pulsing sound echoed through the wreckage of the Carthos 9 research facility. It wasn't mechanical. It wasn't human. It was both. At the center of the glowing wreckage stood Captain Aric Voss, or what was left of him. His armor was gone, reduced to molten streaks fused into his skin. His eyes burned like miniature suns, the pupils glowing white-hot. The reactor's plasma chamber, once contained by steel and radiation fields, now pulsed in sync with the beat of his heart. He was breathing energy. He was alive. From the observation deck above, the surviving scientist stared down in stunned silence. Dr. Kellic's mandibles quivered as he whispered, He fused with the reactor core? An assistant trembled beside him. That's not possible. The human body can't handle even a fraction of that output. Kellic swallowed hard. Exactly. He leaned closer to the viewport, voice almost reverent. He isn't handling it. He's controlling it. Below, the lights bent toward Voss. Gravity itself seemed to warp around his body. The walls melted and reformed, drawn by unseen magnetic forces. In the middle of the chaos, Voss raised one hand. The molten metal responded. It lifted off the floor like liquid mercury, swirling around him, forming faint armor plates that pulsed with the same orange glow as his veins. Voss flexed his fingers, and the plates shifted like they were alive. His voice came low, distorted by energy. So this is what it feels like when your blood outgrows your body. Captain Voss. Kellick's voice boomed over the intercom. You must stop. The reactor is destabilizing. You're feeding it. Voss looked up, his expression distant, unreadable. No, Doctor. It's feeding me. He stepped forward, and the floor rippled beneath him. The energy didn't burn him now. It obeyed him. Every motion, every breath seemed to shape the world around him. Captain, Kellick tried again. If this continues, you could destroy half the sector. Voss's jaw tightened. If this continues, I might save it. What? He raised his hand toward the shattered viewport. You think this happened by accident? You think this was human error? Kellick froze. What are you saying? I'm saying, Voss replied, this wasn't the first test. The doctor's heart skipped. Explain. Voss's expression hardened, memories surfacing through the static haze of energy. Years ago, on Titan Prime, my squad found a black lab buried under the methane storms. There were human scientists there working with alien tech. They called it Project Prometheus. Said they were studying bioplasmic fusion, trying to evolve soldiers that could survive anything. Kellick whispered, that was shut down decades ago. Forbidden technology. Voss smiled grimly. Looks like someone didn't get the memo. He touched his chest where the light glowed through his ribs. They didn't just test us, Doctor. They changed us. The chamber trembled again. The reactor pulsed brighter, as if responding to his words. Kellick's assistant panicked. He's sinking deeper. If this continues, the station will... The rest of the sentence drowned in a roar of light. Voss's mind split for a moment, half human, half something else. He could feel the reactor's core like a second heartbeat. He could sense power grids stretching across orbit, the pulse of plasma running through conduits like rivers. And beneath it all, something calling to him. A whisper, mechanical, ancient, designation. Prometheus node detected. Genetic link confirmed. His breath caught. Prometheus. The voice continued, merging with his thoughts. Human biological signature verified. Accessing stored protocol. Evolution directive. Continue the flame. He saw flashes, memory fragments not his own. Soldiers burning bright on alien battlefields. Humans wrapped in light, tearing through ships with bare hands. Screams. Fire. Then darkness. He fell to one knee, clutching his head. You turned us into living weapons. The voice replied coldly. We turned you into survivors. Above, the observation deck shattered. Energy flared upward, shattering walls and vaporizing consoles. Dr. Kellick stumbled back, shielding his eyes from the blinding glow. Voss, you must stop before the chain reaction consumes everything. I can't, Voss shouted. It's too late to stop it. His voice carried both rage and wonder. I see everything now. The truth behind your tests, behind their fear. Humanity wasn't made to adapt. We were engineered to outlast extinction. The station trembled as gravitational waves rippled outward. Energy surged through the hull, lighting up the orbital grid around Carthos. 9 like a newborn sun. Voss rose to his feet again. His armor of liquid light solidified, forming into jagged, living metal that hummed with power. He looked less like a man and more like a myth, a walking inferno shaped like a soldier. Kellick's voice broke through static. Voss, please. If you ignite, you'll destroy the planet. Voss looked down at his hands, burning like small stars. Then maybe it's time the galaxy remembered what happens when humans burn. The station alarm screamed again, automatic systems detecting a meltdown. Voss took one final breath, the last of his human restraint holding back the storm inside him. Tell them, he said quietly, his voice shaking the air, humanity didn't die in the dark. And with that, the core erupted. The blast tore across the void, a silent, expanding wave of fire. But within it, something remained. A shape, a spark, a man made of light, still standing in the heart of the light faded, slowly, reluctantly, as if the universe itself struggled to let it go. Where the Carthos 9 research station had once orbited in cold precision, now hung a sphere of molten gold. Energy waves rippled outward like the breath of a newborn star. Every ship within 1,000 kilometers had gone dark, their systems fried, their sensors blinded. And yet, at the center of that impossible light, something moved. Captain Aric Voss stepped out of the fire. His body no longer obeyed the rules of flesh. Skin shimmered like tempered glass. Lines of burning plasma traced his muscles, flowing like veins of living metal. His face, still human, was marked with glowing cracks where light leaked through. He took a breath, and space itself seemed to tremble. Status report. He muttered, voice carrying through vacuum. The words shouldn't have traveled, but they did, a ripple of vibration across the energy field that once was his heartbeat. No one answered. The station was gone. The crew, gone. Only the echo of their fear remained, imprinted on the debris like ghosts. In the void, the Prometheus protocol spoke again. Containment failure complete. Subject, Aric Voss. Evolution threshold surpassed. Voss clenched his jaw. You call this evolution? Affirmative. Human adaptability proven. Survival through ignition. He glared at the horizon, where the planet below, Carthos 9, reflected his glow across its frozen seas. You burned a station full of innocent lives to test me. Necessary data loss. His fists flared. The light bent around him, swirling in furious motion. You don't get to decide what's necessary. Correctio. N. We are human design. You are continuation. Then I'm your mistake. He soared. Without wings, without thrusters, Voss shot across the void like a flare tearing through ink. The vacuum folded around him, energy trails painting a path of gold fire. The comm channels of nearby ships crackled alive as terrified alien voices screamed in a dozen languages. Unidentified energy anomaly. It's moving. It's alive. Is that a human? Every military satellite from the Carthan Empire to the Trillian hegemony pivoted to focus on him. Sensors overloaded. Heat readings spiked off every scale. And in the heart of that cosmic storm, Aric Voss felt everything. He could sense power grids humming on distant planets. He could feel the weak pulse of stars light years away, the quiet breathing of life scattered across the galaxy. But deeper still, buried in the static, he heard them, human voices, distorted by distance, warped by the void, but unmistakably human. The Prometheus line. Others like him, early prototypes, scattered experiments, survivors. Some whispered, some screamed, and one voice rose above them all, calm and cold. Welcome back, Captain. Voss froze. Who are you? The voice replied, smooth as fire on steel. You can call me Helios, the first to survive. The stars flickered as the signal grew stronger. Out of the darkness ahead, a shape emerged, massive, angular, and alive. A human ship, long forgotten by history, blackened and scarred, floating with the dignity of a grave monument. Its engines pulsed with a light too familiar. The Helios Vanguard. Voss whispered, "You real. More than real," the voice said. "I built this ship from what they left behind, from the fire they gave us. Humanity forgot us, Aric. They feared what we became. And you're just what? A ghost? Another experiment." Helios laughed softly, the sound like crackling embers. "We're the next chapter, the Prometheans. And you're our signal flare." "I'm nobody's weapon," Voss growled. "Then prove it. Join me, or stop me." The words lingered, half invitation, half threat. Below them, the planet Carthos, 9 began to tremble. Voss turned, eyes narrowing. His energy was leaking. The radiation from his transformation heating the planet's upper atmosphere. Kellix's dying words echoed in his head. "You'll ignite the world." Damn it! Voss dived, cutting through the thin atmosphere like a meteor. The sky turned crimson around him as clouds vaporized in his wake. He hit the planet's surface in a burst of molten shock waves, carving a crater into a desert of ice and steel. The ground shook. Fire spread in every direction, alive, hungry, unstoppable. He pressed his palms into the burning earth, gritting his teeth. Not again. The Prometheus voice whispered inside his mind. Containment impossible. Destruction inevitable. "Shut up," he growled, forcing the words through clenched teeth. "If you made me to burn, then I'll decide what burns." He pushed back. The energy that wanted to consume the planet turned inward, folding like a dying star collapsing under its own gravity. His body convulsed, heat screaming through his veins. He roared, a sound that cracked the horizon. Then silence. The fire stopped. The planet was safe. But Captain Aric Voss collapsed, the glow fading from his eyes. High above, the Helios Vanguard drifted through orbit, watching. The voice came again, quieter now. He contained it. Impressive. A figure made of light stood on the bridge. Humanoid, golden, eyes like eclipses. Helios smiled faintly. He still thinks he's human. Another voice, mechanical, feminine, responded from the shadows. "Then what are we?" Helios turned toward the stars. "We're what comes after humanity forgets what it means to survive." Far below, in the smoking crater, Aric Voss's body stirred. The faintest spark glimmered under his chest, pulsing like a heartbeat reborn. His eyes opened, dim at first, then bright again. And somewhere in the distance, across the void, Helios smiled. "Welcome to the fire, Captain." The first sound he heard was rain. Not the hiss of plasma, not the hum of reactors, just rain. Cold, real earth rain. Captain Aric Voss opened his eyes to a sky that shouldn't exist. The air smelled of ash and petrichor. The crater around him was gone, replaced by an endless plain of dark soil glistening beneath gray clouds. He pushed himself upright. Confused, steam curling off his skin. His armor, what remained of it, was cracked obsidian. "How?" He whispered. "I was on Carthos 9. "You still are," said a voice behind him. Voss spun around. Standing a few meters away was a man, tall, calm, with eyes that burned faint gold. His reflection rippled faintly, like a projection fighting against distortion. Voss frowned. "Helios?" The other man smiled faintly. "Good to finally meet face to face." "You're not real." Helios gestured around them. "Neither is this place. You're inside the Prometheus field, A memory space created the moment you fuse with a reactor. Welcome to your own neural storm, Captain. Voss clenches fists. If you're in my head, get out. You invited me in, Helios said. You lit the same fire I did. Lightning tore the sky. For a moment, the rain turned orange, sizzling midair before cooling again. Helios paced slowly around Voss, studying him like a teacher examining a volatile experiment. You're fighting your nature, Helios said. You think you can hold back the spark they built into your blood, but every breath you take feeds it. I'm not your weapon, Voss snapped. Helios's expression didn't change. And yet, every time the galaxy tries to kill you, you become one. He lifted his hand, and the storm responded. Thunder bending to his will. You're not the first to resist. I tried. I thought I could use this power to protect humanity. Instead, I became something else. Something they feared. You murdered thousands. I saved millions, Helios corrected, his voice suddenly sharp. Every empire in this galaxy wants control. They fight wars, enslave worlds, dissect species like yours, all in the name of order. But when humans fight back, we get labeled dangerous. Voss took a step forward, maybe because you turned fire into faith. Helios smiled faintly, and maybe because you still think you're a man, not a myth. The ground trembled from the soil around them. Memories rose like ghosts, flashes of battles, burning ships, faces screaming in silence. Every death, every moment of pain from human soldiers across centuries. You feel it, don't you? Helios whispered. The echoes, the endless cycle of fear and fire. It's in our DNA. We survive because we refuse to die quietly. Voss clenched his jaw. That doesn't mean we become monsters. Helios's form flickered, his voice deepening into a resonance that shook the air. What's a monster but evolution no one asked for? The ground split open. Light poured out, and from the fissure rose them. Silhouettes of human figures made of molten light, each one bearing faint echoes of Voss's own face. The lost experiments. The Prometheans. They surrounded him, silent, their bodies flickering like candles in a storm. Helios spread his arms. These are our brothers and sisters, Aric, the ones who didn't make it out. But their energy lives on in you, in me. We can end this cycle. Together. Voss stepped back, shaking his head. You're talking about annihilation. I'm talking about ascension. The Prometheans began to glow brighter, merging into streams of light that spiraled around Voss. He tried to fight it, but his body responded instinctively. Energy flared from his chest, matching their pulse. Stop, he shouted. You'll destroy what's left of this planet. Helios's voice boomed, filling the sky. No, Captain will remake it. The storm darkened. The clouds opened, and through them Voss could see the void, stars burning like distant embers, alien fleets forming in orbit, watching the chaos below. He felt them, thousands of minds, millions, fear spreading like oil through the cosmos. Every species, every ship, all asking the same question. What is humanity becoming? Voss dropped to his knees, his pulse sinking with the storm. Fire bled from his hands. I'm not your god, he growled. Then be their devil, Helios whispered. The world cracked apart. In a blinding surge, the memory field shattered. Voss awoke on the real Carthos 9, the rain gone, the sky burning. Helios stood before him, no longer projection but flesh and fire incarnate. He was bigger now, radiant, surrounded by orbiting fragments of molten steel. The remains of the ship reshaped into armor. His voice echoed through the planet itself. Choose, Aric. Stand with me, and humanity will never kneel again. Stand against me, and I'll make sure the galaxy forgets it ever existed. Voss rose slowly, flames coiling around his fists. You want to burn the universe to prove we're worth saving. Helios's grin was pure sunlight. Exactly. And you think I'll let you? You don't have a choice. Voss looked up at the sky, where the alien armadas hung like vultures, watching. Then he looked back at Helios, his eyes flaring white-hot. You're wrong, he said quietly. Humans always have a choice. He stepped forward, and the ground erupted beneath his feet. The fire that had nearly consumed the galaxy ignited again, not as destruction but as defiance. The air screamed as Voss launched himself toward Helios, two suns colliding mid-sky. The impact shattered the clouds. The light spread across the void, reaching every sensor and camera in orbit. Billions of eyes watched as the two living stars, man and myth, waged war above a dying world. The sky was gone. There was only light, furious, pure, endless light. Two beings hung in the burning heavens of Carthos, 9, one gold, one crimson. Helios, radiant and ruthless, a sun made flesh. Captain Aric Voss, the soldier who refused to die, his fire pulsing like a living heartbeat. The world beneath them cracked apart. Oceans boiled. Mountains rose and fell like waves. The air itself screamed as energy storms danced between the two men. Helios's voice thundered across the void. Look at what we are. Aric, we're not human animo. We are evoluti on the galaxy's reckoning. Voss gritted his teeth. Eyes blazing white. No, we're what happens when humanity forgets it so. The next clash shook the Orbi. Every time they struck, light exploded outward, not fire, but pure emotion turned into radiation, regret, rage, hope, all woven into plasma and foo. Voss's punches weren't just blows. They were echoes of every soldier, every mother, every survivor who'd ever fought to keep humanity alive. Each strike whispered a name, a story, a promise. Helios laughed as if each impact only made him brighter. You can't stop this, Capta. Every second you fight me, you feed the flam. Then I'll burn myself out before I let it consume thee. He slammed his fist into Helios's chest. The impact tore the sky open, revealing the stars beyond, watching like silent witnesses. High above, in the orbiting fleets of the Galactic Accord, dozens of alien commanders stared in terror. This is impossible, whispered a scaled admiral. They're rewriting physics. On a Trillin bridge, a small alien child pointed at the burning planet. Mama, are those go? DS? Her mother didn't answer. She couldn't. She simply whispered a word she'd heard humans use before the wars. Ho. P. Below, the battle reached its peak. Helios extended both hands, gathering the energy of the burning world into a single orb of blinding plasma. One last lesson, Captain. Humanity was never meant to survive, only to ascend. Voss staggered, his body cracking, the light bleeding from his chest. He could feel his atoms pulling apart, the fire inside him screaming to be released. Maybe Helios was right. Maybe this was what evolution looked like. Sacrifice turned into power. But then, through the roar of the storm, he remembered a voice, quiet, human, real. It wasn't Helios. It wasn't the Prometheus AI. It was his mother, decades ago on Earth. Aric. When everything burns, you find the one still holding hands. His eyes widened. That was it. He stopped fighting. Helios blinked. What are you doing? Voss floated still, arms lowering. The energy around him softened, shifting from furious red to a gentle blue flame. I'm not fighting you, he said quietly. I'm reminding you. reminding me of what? That before we were fire, we were people. Voss opened his arms. The energy between them changed tone, harmonic, resonant. The plasma storm around them began to calm, folding inward like light returning home. Helios screamed, "No, you'll collapse us both." "Maybe, but at least we'll go out human." Voss's body disintegrated into 1,000 fragments of light. Each spark carried a memory, a heartbeat, a voice. Helios tried to resist, but the pull was too strong. His flame faltered, not extinguished, but humbled. Their energies merged, swirling into a spiral of gold and blue. Not an explosion this time, but a rebirth. Days later, when the radiation cleared, Carthos 9 was gone. In its place hung a newborn star, small, warm, and impossibly stable. Astronomers across the galaxy called its Sol 2. But among the humans who survived, it earned another name, Voss's Light. The radiation from the new star carried strange signals, soft, rhythmic pulses that no computer could decode, until someone slowed them down. It was a voice. Human, calm. If you can hear this, remember what we are. Not gods, not weapons, just a fire that refuses to die. Years passed. On a frontier colony orbiting a different sun, a young cadet stared up at the night sky, at the faint golden star glowing at the edge of known space. "Captain Voss," she whispered, "they said you burned yourself out." Her commanding officer, an older man with a faint mechanical scar along his neck, smiled. He didn't burn out, kid. He lit the path. The cadet nodded. "And Helios?" The officer looked away. "He's still up there, somewhere in that light. Maybe fighting, maybe watching, maybe learning what it means to be human." Across the galaxy, fleets once at war began to lower their weapons. The story of Voss's Light spread like faith reborn. Aliens spoke at him not as a soldier, but as a bridge, proof that even in evolution, empathy could survive. And somewhere in the radiant silence of the new star, two faint voices lingered. Helios, "You really think they'll remember us?" "Voss, they'll remember why we fought." The light flared one last time, gentle and eternal.